Aloha, everybody. So sweet to be gathering here together. For those that I don't know yet, my name is Roxanne Ruby. I'm going to formally introduce myself here in a moment, and we're just giving it a couple minutes to let our family, our community from all over the world hop in here and connect our hearts and minds to dive in together tonight. So happy to see some faces on here I haven't seen in a while. If you are able to be on camera, it's definitely really helpful for me to see faces. This process that we're going to dive into together this evening is definitely an oracular perspective of production and sacred strategy. And if I can see you, that helps to essentially open the channel for whatever it is that wants to come through this evening. And also, as we're hopping on, what would be helpful and just lovely to share is for all of you that are with us here tonight, if you can get active in the chat and let me know what it is that you're creating right now. This will give me some examples to be able to riff on as we move together. So let me know, what is it that you're creating right now? It could be, an aspect of your life. Maybe what it is that you're wanting to create a stronger connection to your children. It could be a new business. It could be a church, a book, a house, or an entire real estate development, which is one project that I'm very honored to be working on right now, which just goes to show that the particular process that we're going to be going through together tonight can really be applied to anything and everything that you possibly want to create. So with that being said, would love to just introduce myself. Wow, so many amazing humans on this little window here. And in the meantime, please keep adding into the chat what it is that you're creating right now. So those of you that I don't know personally yet, my name is Roxanne. I am a wife and mother and a business owner, an artist, a creator. I have spent the last 10 years of my life deeply immersed in being a student of the sacred and studying as a priestess with the oracular arts, as well as having the opportunity to study with many indigenous cultures around the world and walking a path of medicine and really prayer at the center of my life. With that, been I've been a producer pretty much since I was like 4. Like I just love creating. I love creating with my friends. I love collaborating. My Sagittarius nature is eternally inclined to seek out brilliant teachers and to fan the flame of their dream and their vision. And so over the past decade, especially, I've had the gift of working with incredibly masterful creators and teachers in different genres. And I've come to recognize that a big part of my art and the way that I create is actually helping other people create their mastery, whatever that may be. I've worked hand in hand with my dear sister Ruby Chase over the years, helping her with her music. I helped to launch the Academy of Oracle Arts a few years back with Isis Indria. It's been one of my dream come trues to support Ayla Nerio with her music and her recent Radiance tour. It's been a really wonderful path of bringing forward this unique codex that I guess I have, which is essentially to show up as like a midwife for people's creative visions. I just really get lit by supporting others and seeing their dreams into reality. And considering the times that we're living in right now, I really believe so strongly that it is our responsibility to step into our gifts, to shine our light, and to bring forward our unique medicine in the world. And so while I've been So loving supporting the people that I've supported one-on-one over the past years. I have also come to a point in my life where I want to be able to help more people. And especially with this recent transition of Pluto into Aquarius, I see more than ever the power of the collective and of bringing a community together and being able to nurture our dreams within this alliance, and to have the reflective nature of community be able to come together and offer different perspectives and different possibilities. And so um, I had this thought of bringing together a community of people. And although we have about 17 of us here together on the line, 80 people signed up to participate in this event, which just touched my heart so deeply. And I'm looking forward to continue to offer these community sessions on a seasonal basis for free, for us to get together and to share our visions with each other and to get to cheer each other on as we valiantly step forward to bring our unique medicine into the world. That being said, a new offering that is launching with this Zoom is a step for me of refining this oracular production that I've been practicing for the last decade, and bringing forth a formal offering of opening my doors for one-on-one work and being able to actually take people through a process of production of whatever their dreams may be. And so I'll talk a little bit more about that at the end, but just wanting to plant this seed. Mostly the people that are on here right now are my organic community. And so this is like kind of my coming out to all of you of making this particular offering of what I'm going to be calling Sacred Ember available, not only to my community, but to anyone that you know that's a dreamer, a creator, an artist, an entrepreneur that wants to birth something brilliant into the world and needs an ally to sit by their side and essentially like midwife their project. And so I'm making myself available for that. And the title that I'm giving this work is called Sacred Ember, and is part of what sparked this theme of flame, of focus, because I've really been spending a lot of time with the fire recently. And within my consultations of working with the fire, I was considering how I can show up in service to the people I love, and also to myself and to my family, and create resource for myself in a way that's completely aligned with my values. And just to be like completely transparent in this space here, a few months ago, I had negative like $150 in my bank account. I was in a deficit. And I made $1 million in my 20s. I've been a businesswoman, an entrepreneur by nature, raised by entrepreneurs. But after becoming a mother and shifting gears, I started to go into that deficit. And it really was like a hard truth moment a few months ago where I was like, wow, I need to get creative and I need to make myself more available to be aligned with the abundance that I am ready to call in, not just for my own self, but for my family and for the way that I want to show up in service to the world. And so I sat down and I did exactly the process that we're going to do tonight. Actually, there's more steps to it, but tonight's just going to be the opening. So tonight we're going to do a deep dive into our own radiant self and our own vision of who we get to become, so that we can become a vibrational match to whatever it is that we're wanting to create. And that was 3 months ago. I had negative in my bank account. I was like, oh, I need to make some magic happen. And in the past 2 weeks, from aligning with this vibrational vision that I charted for myself, I've done over $200,000 in sales for different programs. And I relaunched my superfood business, and I opened the doors to my one-on-one container. which I didn't even open officially, and I've already sold 2 out of the 4 seats. So it really just shows that like I basically proved to myself again the power of coming into alignment with a clear vision. Yeah. And so tonight is going to be very much about creating that clear vision and diving in together and getting to reflect within this community dynamic of what our visions are so we can celebrate each other in creating them. So with that, because this is a sacred container, I would like to go ahead and open with a prayer. And for those of you that maybe are a little bit like less familiar with prayer as a common used term, when I say prayer, I mean communing with spirit, with great spirit, with our own higher self, with the holy elements, and with the mystery of this moment, just bringing a cohesive intention into this moment so that we can, through all these digital spaces that we're gathering together through, we can create a sacred circle together. So thank you again, everybody, for being here. And with that, I'm just going to formally open this container tonight. Mahalo ke akua, aho matako e wasin. Greetings, Great Spirit, Great Mystery. Giving thanks on this evening as we transition from the Scorpio energy into Sagittarius for the clarity of vision that is settling in for myself and so many right now. Meanwhile, the world around us is in massive transformation. The inner transformation that is taking place is wildly inspiring. And with that, I acknowledge all that is happening, all that has happened to bring us into this moment of a huge catalyst, a time where the darkness is so dense that it is giving us no option but to turn on our lights so that we can illuminate this world. Honoring all of the benevolent ancestors of all of the people that are gathered here together in this circle. Giving thanks to our guides and our guardians, seen and unseen. Acknowledging all of the lands, the different territories that we're tuning in from tonight, and through this mysterious digital universe that we can come together from all these different corners of the world and unite as a community, creating common unity to support one another, to uplift one another, and to feel encouraged in stepping forward courageously into whatever it is that we're cultivating, dreaming, praying for ourselves, for our families, for our communities, for the world. Asking that anything that we share here tonight can be coherent and crystal clear and easy to be integrated, and that however we tend to the fire of our own projects and prayers this evening, that fire can continue to grow, that spark, that flame of focus can continue to grow and support us in manifesting whatever it is that we're here to bring forward. And that those manifestations can be a blessing to us and a blessing to all those around us, rippling out into the interconnected web of all phenomenon. Thank you to the holy elements that are present here on this altar, to the 8 directions and the 3 worlds, honoring the sacred circle and officially opening this work for us to do here together tonight with flame of focus. Aho matakwe asin ankh-nteru, blessed be, and so it is. So as I was saying, this is very much a oracular process, but I also do have my notes. So we're playing with sacred structure, freedom and form. And I just wanted to contextualize a little bit the title of this event, Flame of Focus. I was sitting with the prayer of Sacred Ember over the last month, like what this is, this creation that's calling me forward. Like I believe that our creations create us, they shape us. And as I was sitting with this idea of Sacred Ember, which essentially, again, like it's that unique spark. Like when I talk about sacred ember, your sacred ember, whatever it is that you put into the chat, like what we're creating, a community space, a co-working yoga studio, entheogenic church, creating a baby in the womb, a new living space with community. Oh, great. Yeah, like all of these are our sacred embers, like that's like this precious little idea that we have that, like the fire, if it can be tended to and provided with enough wood and oxygen and maybe like some songs and dance and prayers and tobacco, that fire can grow and it can become a sanctuary. It can become a safe place for people to be nourished, to be warm, to be fed, and to be safe. And so the idea of cultivating our sacred ember is growing that inner fire into something that can be truly of service to others. And I was contemplating this theme of the fire and our creations, and my dad was here visiting, and he had a Christian daily devotional, and in it was I think it was on his birthday, there was a quote about the etymology of flame, and it talked about how the word focus, the etymology of the word focus, that is rooted in fire. And I had already had the name for this webinar. Actually, that's what I already had thought, like I want to do like an online gathering and start to move the muscle of this work. And I was considering this idea of flame, of focus. And then my dad finds this etymology that talks about how in the early 1600s the Latin word for focus was completely synonymous with fire. And it was particularly used for the idea of fire when it's concentrated, like when you have a magnifying glass and you shine the sun through it and it gets concentrated, and that can start a fire. So it's really like concentrated effort, right? So tonight, we're going to now dive into this process of concentrating our effort, our intention, our possibilities to essentially go on a little mini hero's journey and be able to yield an elixir that can then be fuel for whatever our fireplace is, whatever it is that we're building. Yeah. So I've got a little slideshow I'm gonna share. See if this works. Okay. You can see me? Give me a thumbs up if you can see my screen. Yeah. Okay. So, Sacred Ember, bringing forth your unique light. Considering what is our dream. First step. So, here's the process. This is the flame process, which in my own personal masterminds, my what flame stands for is fabulous, loving, actualized, meaningful expression. So this is the flame code that we're going to walk in order to actualize your fabulous, loving, actualized, meaningful expression. Also, fun, liberating approach, magnetizing eternally. So to begin, this is the first step always with magnetizing, manifesting something new, is to start with where you are. And I recommend, if you don't yet have a journal and a pen, definitely grab one. This is going to be a hands-on process that we go through. And here, just in this beginning moment, let us take just couple minutes to put pen on paper and write down what it is that you're grateful for in this moment. And it can be in a list. It could be a drawing if you want to make it more artistic, creative. You can write words in different places on the paper. This entire process that we're going to go through is intuitively driven. So we're going to play with structure, but we're going to come at it from a deeply creative perspective, non-linear. And we'll get more into that in our next step. But first, just we're going to do some kind of like purging out of like, just what are we grateful for already right now that exists in this moment before we even try to step forward and create something new. Let us be with what it is that you're grateful for. Once I see a couple people put some of their gratitudes in the chat, then I'll know it's time to move on. Grateful for family, my home, my partner, my dog, the work I have, my fireplace. Yes. My body, the food I get to eat, my sheepy rug, the sun, my path. Mm-hmm. Oh, Woody, I'm grateful for you. uh, yeah, beautiful. Yeah, so speaking of fireplaces, like this is our fireplace here together right now. You know, like in the Native American church, they talk about this idea of the generation fireplace being a place for all people, all generations to gather and share wisdom. And that is really my prayer with these events, is that we can come together around this virtual fireplace and deepen our relationships, and how maybe that we can support each other in various ways. And also, you know, I gotta just address, like, there's this rebellious spirit that I have that is connected to us supporting ourselves and each other in claiming our gifts. And that right now, you know, the thing I'm grateful for is this opportunity that we're being faced with to become very clear with the arrow of our attention. You know, like our attention, our focus is one of our greatest resources. And it's a resource that I believe can be used against us when we're presented with so many distractions on a daily basis, and um, things that keep us and prevent us from bringing forward our light in the world. And so, yeah, just to speak to that a little bit too, that this gathering is fueled for sure from the revolutionary perspective of like really feeling excited to support people and bringing forth their brilliance during this time of the great turning. Oh, I love seeing what you're grateful for. Okay, so next step, and this one, you'll definitely want a pen and paper. Better to go analog than digital for this, because we're going to get into a process that I give credit to my mother, who's on this call, Miss Sophia, for sharing the mind map with me, which has become like the most essential tool for every production, every creation, for myself, working with others. The mind map is the first thing. And this is where we really start to get into non-linear structure, because our brains don't work linear. Like, we don't think in lists. We're trained in this modern world to write in a line and to make lists, but like our neurons don't fire like that. So to align ourselves with our neurology, this is a way of being able to put all of your cards on the table, essentially, with the mind map. So in this mind map, what you're going to do is you'll put you in the middle, and then like little rays of a sunshine coming out from the middle You're going to put the things that are important to you and that exist in your life right now. So essentially, this is like a map of like my life now. What exists in my day-to-day reality that I love to do, that I have to do, that I get to do, you know, include yourself, include your family, include creative projects, include professional stuff. And then you're going to do that like initial layer around yourself. And then you're going to extend it like branches on a tree. So, for instance, here's some of my branches. So, with family, I have quality time, cultivation of a homestead. With music, I've got vocal training, resonance container coming up, practicing guitar, writing. With the Magdalene Project, we're planning for the Watchtower in France next year. For myself, I have Spanish practice and my fitness, and I mean, each one of these can have so much more, but this is just to give you an idea to get rolling. And then you're going to create your own map. And again, super intuitive. There's no wrong way to do this besides not doing it. So if you're not doing it, do it. And if you are doing it, then just trust, right? Like wherever you think a word should go on the paper, if you think your lines should be straight or if you think your lines should be like squiggly, whatever it is, it's all good. This is just letting you're starting to tap in to your intuitive creator, right? So allowing for like a flow state to start to emerge as you're doing something that's like pretty structured, like you're mapping out your life right now and essentially like looking at like what is everything that's on the altar of my life. Hello. Hello. Got a 2-year-old saying hello to everyone. And we'll give it a few more minutes here. Can you hear that music if I play a little music while you work? Okay, cool. We'll give it just another minute to get all the thoughts and ideas out on paper. And like you can take this into even places like I've put on there in the past, like taxes, life insurance, debt. Like you can get really real about all the aspects of your life here. Okay. So wrapping that up and also just acknowledging that this is a practice that you can continue to build out. And like every step here, you're going to have it now in your toolkit, right? So this is something I do regularly, seasonally, to like readdress, like, whoa, what's on the altar right now? Like what's on the table right now? And where needs some more development. So it's just nice to get that initial, like, okay, there's my life. um, Sitting there before me with all of its different qualities. Yeah. And so then the next step is this, asking ourselves this question: who do I get to become to create the visions of my heart? Because the thing is, there's all these different ideas of like, The Secret and different manifestation approaches. And at the end of the day, like, we are vibrational beings. And the vibration that we are at makes us more or less a match towards what it is that we're wanting to create. And, that doesn't mean that if we're like operating at a really high vibe that like nothing bad ever is going to happen. But still, like, we create that inner sovereignty and that inner posture that then allows us to be able to like address the challenges with grace, and allows us to become more available for the blessings that are coming for us because we're holding that certain vibration. And so when we consider like, who do I get to become to create the visions of my heart, it's really about like, what do I do? Who am I stepping into? How do I be? It's not even what do I do? It's how am I going to be able to be a fit for whatever it is that I want to create. And, like, my husband, he leads a journey called Best Version Quest that is so for sure informing this process. Or other people call it like the higher self. In my contemplation, I feel like a more expressed version of me isn't necessarily a better version, really. Like Dewi, you're going to be just as awesome of a person, whether or not you create the community space that you're dreaming of. Like, there's no personal hierarchy, whether or not Jade creates like a global brand of neuro sovereignty or not. Like, she's still an amazing human. And there's these unique gifts that we have that we're here to bring forward. And so the word that's been coming through for me strong is radiance. What's my most radiant self, right? Like, when I am just shining my light, that is when I'm in my radiance. And it's when, from my personal experience, what I've noticed is that like when I'm creating and I'm radiant and I'm like feeling good and doing my practices and getting enough sleep and hanging out with my son, and I'm just like on the vibe, then synchronicities and magic happen, right? Like, how many of us, drop a 1 in the chat if you have had that experience where it's just like, oh, once you get on the roll, then things just start popping off, right? And so that's the invitation for us tonight, is to consciously build a relationship with our radiant self so that we can receive guidance and wisdom and encouragement from our most radiant self. Because here's the thing, our radiant selves are our best guides. We know, I believe that most of us know what's best for us. And that while I am in full support of hiring coaches and, going to different guides for all different things, and I myself, like, oh my gosh, I hired an amazing woman to help me with, I had 4 huge launches this month. And I was like, I need a person that can just like be with me through this, like be my doula. And Sonia also stepped on board, and she's been on my team for this whole launch, and it's felt so good to have that support. And also what's amazing is like I've literally like hired these two women to step forward and essentially just like extract from me what I already know inside my heart, like they're just like mirroring back at me. And so I want to invite this process of creating a relationship with our radiant self so that we can create a relationship with our own wisdom and be able to like create the stillness and the deep listening for our unique genius to flow through. And I've had so much fun developing this relationship with my personal radiant self over the past few years. I remember like the first time that she really showed up for me in a vision, and it informed a lot of the choices that I made moving forward, because I had like met this version of myself and was so inspired. It's like I'm more inspired by my own personal potential than by like any other person that I look up to. Like that's the only person that I compare myself to is myself. I get inspired and I get wisdom from others, but like who I'm growing into is just, myself, more expressed, more radiant version of me. And she's got great advice. Like now I've gotten to the point where like my radiant self is like this, like she's like hanging out right here, and sometimes I can be like, okay, what is this vibe? Like, what's the name of this webinar? Okay, flame of focus, cool. And like, what do I need to do in order to steward this into existence? And I can like listen to her, whatever she wants to tell me. And it's like it includes not only like, oh, put together a webinar, it also includes like do your practice, get on your yoga mat, go for a walk, take time completely off just to be fully present with yourself. Like she's so considerate of the holistic vision. And so we're going to take some time right now to put our pens down and get into a comfortable seat and close our eyes and have a little visualization of getting to meet ourselves, meet our radiant selves. Yeah. So just grounding into the space and making yourself as comfortable as you can be right now, whether that's sitting or lying down. Begin by bringing your attention to your breath without trying to control it or monitor it too deeply. Just simply come into a space of awareness of your breath, allowing and noticing if there's any tension that arises for you as you bring that focus into your breathing, into your body. And with each exhalation, just imagine a gentle melting, a gentle letting go, and a settling into this present moment. Pulling in your consciousness, recognizing that there's nowhere else that you need to be right now, nothing else you need to be doing. You've created this space for yourself to be in contemplation and deep listening to the reservoir of wisdom that exists within you. And using the divine gift of your imagination, imagine yourself in a setting that makes your heart sing, whatever setting that might be. It could be a beach, it could be a castle, could be your family home, any place that just feels inspiring, feels expansive, feels safe. Imagine yourself in this place, allowing your consciousness to inhabit this mental temple. And within this space, imagine yourself slowly walking through the space. Notice what the ground is like beneath your feet. Notice what's around you. And take a minute within your imagination to practice imagination, a tool that many of us as adults lose touch with. Within that imagination, look around you and look and see the landscape that's surrounding you. Take in the details. Continue to breathe deeply, letting your concentration focus in this vision in your mind's eye. And now, as you're imagining the space, you're going to fabricate a mirror within the setting of this inner temple. And you're going to approach this mirror and notice the mirror itself. Notice how tall it is, notice its details, and step in front of it and gaze upon the reflection that you see in the mirror. Take yourself in, observe all the little details, all the glorious details of who you are. And as you look in the mirror, imagine this ember, this spark in your heart start to grow. And a light from within your own inner being start to emanate through every pore of your skin, starting to shine like the sun from within you as you mindfully and consciously cultivate your own inner radiance, your own inner light and brilliance. And allow for that light to be a light of transformation. And as the light pours through you, imagine that it's igniting this new version of you. And before you notice what you see in the mirror, notice what you feel in your body as you are becoming a frequency match to whatever it is that you're wanting to create outside of yourself. Notice the inner posture of who you get to become within yourself. Notice if maybe you breathe a little deeper or you stand a little taller. Notice if there's a strong energy anywhere in your body, if you feel more energy in your heart, in your mind, if you feel grounded and rooted, if you feel a lifting towards the sky, if you feel power in your solar plexus. Notice what feelings are arising for you. And then within your imagined temple, in front of your imagined mirror, now use the imagination. You are the magi of your nation, creating worlds within your own mind. Use the power of the mind to imagine seeing yourself in the mirror as this radiant, fully expressed, actualized version of yourself. And consider all of the qualities of what this radiant self carries. Notice what qualities this version of you puts into practice on a daily basis. How do you care for yourself? How do you care for your body? How do you care for your mental well-being? What stimulation do you allow in that shapes your consciousness and your subconsciousness? How do you spend your time? How do you spend your mornings? What's the first thing that you do and that you think of and that you speak of when you wake up in the morning? What's the first thing that you put in your body? How do you relate to your family? How do you relate to your partner? How do you relate to your children, to your parents, to your siblings, to your coworkers? What do you do for work? Do you work from home? Do you work in an office space, in a studio? Do you travel for work? Do you work with others? Do you lead others? Do you work online? What are you in service to with your work? What are you in service to with your life beyond your job and your business? What do you stand for in your life? What do you stand up for? What do you support? What do you believe in? What are you creating? My baby. What does your physical reality around you look like? This version of you as you're looking in the mirror. Imagine what your home space is like. Who shares that space with you? How you tend to that space, what it looks like, what it feels like. Consider the way that you are welcoming, and also consider the way this version of you practices boundaries. How does this version of you maintain a healthy work and life balance? How do you create balance? How do you create boundaries with your time management, with your relationships with others? What are your personal values? How are those values being put into practice in all that you do? How do you pray? How do you play? What are the things that are on your bucket list that you're dreaming of? The adventures that you wish to go on, the businesses that you wish to start, the book that you wish to write, the album that you want to produce. What are all the visions on your heart, and what are the things that are actualized around you? How much money do you have in your bank account? What kind of food do you have at your dinner table? If you have a personal brand, what is the essence of that brand? How do you handle challenges? How do you handle triggers? What are you studying? And then within the mind's eye, after you've felt this version of yourself, and imagine you really like a butterfly emerging from a cocoon, that you're like standing into that version of yourself. And you've considered all the qualities of this version of yourself. Now, in your imagination, in this inner temple, as you gaze upon the mirror, open your eyes inside of your mind's eye and look upon yourself. And now see the reflection of your radiant self. And notice what this version of you looks like. How are they dressed? What are they wearing in this most mundane and glorious physical expression, this way that we present ourselves to the world? How do we adorn ourselves? What color is your hair? Do you have jewelry? Do you have tattoos? What energy are you putting forward based on your body language and the look in your eyes? Are you smiling? Are you serious? Are you determined? Just notice what this version of you is appearing as to you in this moment, and see if there's anything interesting that you have to learn from just simply creating the space to spend time with this version. And take this version of you in completely. And then imagine that version that you see in the mirror condensing down into like a seed of light, an ember. And that light coming back and remaining in your heart like a seed that gets to be tended to and germinated. Honor that expression of yourself, that potential that exists within us. And honor yourself right now and exactly the seat that you're sitting in and exactly the form that you're in. Taking a moment to just appreciate where you're at and the journey of becoming that is eternal. Take a few deep breaths to settle into that vision and to let that sacred ember, that seed of yourself, find a throne inside of you. So that at any point, you can just, as quick as you can imagine it, you can go sit beside yourself and access that version of you and ask it questions and have a dialogue, have a discussion. Let it inform your thoughts, your words, your actions, and your destiny. Slowly coming back into this space together and giving yourself the grace of a gentle landing. And then when you're ready, you can open your eyes and come back into our group circle. Beautiful. So, holding that vision at the forefront of your consciousness, we're going to um, transition into the integration of that vision and take some time to write. We're going to give ourselves like a good 15 minutes to go into the quantum field that we cultivate through the imagination and affirm as if it has already come into existence in detail this expressed version of yourself, especially in consideration of whatever the things are that are your sparks of creation that you want to cultivate right now. You know, like go into the full expression of the vision of the community home, the full expression of the entheogenic church. Who's involved? What does it feel like to show up every day for work, creation, for the writing of your book, or your book is and are reading it and you're now touring on stages and speaking to thousands and describe your home space and your diet and your wellness and your prayer and your study. Like, just I'm going to put some music on, and we're really going to take some time to just like let the intuition lead and just go for it. And this doesn't need to be at this point in the process. It doesn't need to be time bound. So it could be 1 year from now. If you want to focus on that, it could be 10 years from now. And, you know, be creative, be expansive, and be realistic of like what from a grounded perspective. Like, maybe you're not going to live on the moon, but maybe you can have a really beautiful round house that you call the moon house, like let the creativity flow and get into detail and affirm it. Not I want. I think this crowd pretty much knows the process of NLP, and not, talking about like I want this and I would like this, but like, no, I have this. I've done this. I'm established. It is real. Right now, you're using abracadabra. I speak, and so I create. Well, we haven't gotten to the speaking yet, but you're writing it. And so you're creating, you're putting it into writing right now. Cast the story of your life. And I'm going to share some music and let us just dream. Can you guys hear me? Yeah. So some things to consider could also be like, how are you received by others? You know, like, how is your work being received by others? How are you being received? How are you being acknowledged, celebrated? You know, that could be something like my retreats are full with a wait list, or like I'm recognized by the people I collaborate with as a wonderful colleague or associate. And how are your creations being received by the world? If you've written an album, is it being featured in a film? Or if you've written a book, is it talked about in New York Times? Go into all those details. We'll do about 10 more minutes. So in these last couple minutes, if there's more that wants to be added, you can just kind of start to do shorthand of like notes, like $1 million, Oscar, time with my son, church, whatever, like just quick little notes to spark and to anchor the qualities. Organic food, whatever it is, daily practice, great music. Okay. How'd that feel for everybody? Go ahead, put into the chat. What's alive for you right now? Yeah, a little bit emotional for sure. Getting into the heart of our visions and our prayers. It's like it's vulnerable. Mm-hmm. Yeah, and it can also be nourishing. But I think that with the emotions and the vulnerability, that is part of the nourishment, like a lot of times, even when we're like I know speaking for myself, when we're like in the creative process and we're going and we're doing, like we don't give ourselves the time to just like sit and contemplate. And there's a lot available to us in these spaces. Mm-hmm. Love doing goal setting. So now the next step in our flame process is to essentially distill the gems, the major themes, the qualities of whatever you wrote. For example, if I wrote like, oh, I'm waking up in my dream room in my luxury homestead, my kitty cat is on my bed and I can see the gardens out the window. Like the distillation of that would be like luxury homestead, kitty cat, gardens. So like go through, look back at what you just wrote, and now pull out whatever, like just one bite size. What are the qualities in that are the specific, just like write those words down. So like just to give you kind of an example from my recent notes, I can find them. When I went through this, I think I wrote like 5 pages and I came up with like 20 things. Mm-hmm. So like here's my like distilled list that from 5 pages of flowing vision into just like, boom, here's now we're going to get linear. We got quantum and dreamy. Now we're going to sharpen the arrow and break it down into these like bullets of what it is that you're working with, working towards. And then once you've got that list, we're going to start to venture into like a refinement process, which can be done for all of these qualities. But we're going to dig into one. So, of all the things that you see on your list, for me, I see garden, practice, music, family time, prayer, dream home, healthy local organic food, lovemaking, dance, Royal Crown with Pirium, Magdalene streaming on a major streaming service, a few more things, but that's right. Circle one. I circled my dream home. What's the one thing that you're like, I want to give this some attention right now? Now, sharing is caring. So, after we write it, we leverage the power of the community. And this is a really crucial step. I actually had the opportunity when I was living in LA to be connected with some of the people that created The Secret. And after The Secret came out, and it was like this big, movement of people being like, I'm going to manifest the red car because I know exactly like what it is I'm manifesting, and I'm super clear, and like I'm doing all the meditation and visualization and calling it into me. Like somehow I guess they kind of like missed a step that some of the creators that where the idea of The Secret came from were like, man, like a big piece of what's important here is to share it with each other and to have people that know what you're creating and that reflect it back to you, and so that you're able to have this like feedback loop essentially of that way you're not the only person that's dreaming of writing the book, but that when every time I think of you or the people around you think of you, they imagine like that book that you're writing, and they're projecting out into the thought sphere whatever it is that you're cultivating for yourself. So it amplifies. It's like this idea of when 3 or more people are gathered, it amplifies the prayer, it amplifies the intention when it's done in a group setting. Also, it brings in more resources, so maybe when you're sharing within the group community container, there's somebody that's like, oh, you want to become an entheogenic church? I know of an amazing resource for you. You want to have a retreat center in Costa Rica? I have this whole community of retreat leaders that want to lead retreats in Costa Rica. Like we start to tap into the network, which is again, like this age of Aquarius that we're in. It's such a juicy time to be in community. So we're going to do breakout groups. So everybody has some solid time to share. And my invitation is for you to share, not necessarily like reading what you all just wrote, but share the qualities, share the list that you just came up with, and share the thing that is the one thing that you circled. and speak to it again, like use your affirmative language. Like if I get on a breakout group with Woody, and speak power into it. Like, Woody, I am creating a 7-figure income for myself based on a holistic business model that supports me in creating my dream home. And I have all these things that I want to do, but like the thing I want to focus on right now, that's like my why and the heart of what I'm building, is I want to create a luxury homestead. And that's what I'm doing. Like speak into it, speak life into it. So we're going to break out for about 10 minutes. So it'll be like a few minutes each. There's groups of 3 and 4. And, just I'll type in the chat like next person after a few minutes, but you can manage yourselves and I'll pop around to the groups to see how it's going. And please, if you're like cooking or doing dishes, at least take this moment to be present with the group so that we can leverage the unique power of community to support in our dreams. All right. And with that, just going to do one little move. Okay. Going to our rooms now. Did we go to our rooms? Yeah. Cool. Ooh. I can broadcast my voice.
Hi, what are you doing?
It's okay.
Forgot that I was on the Zoom here. Oopsies. Oh, come here. Okay, steady. Oh. Okay. Yeah, I can, but are you ready to go? Excuse me.
Because why when they drop it, you drop?
Who dropped me?
Also,
They did.
voice.
Mm.
That's so voice, guys.
Yeah, still moist. I have see because my throat hurts. Yeah. Yeah, well, tomorrow I still have to go play paddle and I have an appointment, so I'm not staying home because I have, huh? Okay. All right. Um, all right.
All right. How was that for everybody? Um, did anyone hear anything that particularly touched your heart or inspired you, or anything that you'd like to share from what you heard from your new friends that they shared? Yeah, please, Nicole, hop off mute if you want to share.
What I think is so beautiful is in a room of give or take 80 people, the amount of relating I did to Woody, I had to Woody, you know, and it's like, it was just this smaller example of a whole of like how we are all connected. And we sit here in our muck and our stuff and we think we've got, you know, I'm the worst at this, or this is the worst for me, or whatever, like, you know, how this is so much in my life. And sometimes we feel alone in our struggles or our passions, and how closely we really are all related. And that was very, very cool for me. You know, I was like, hey man, I relate to every single thing that you say. So that to me was beautiful. And when we communicate like this, we're able to build upon these visions and dreams and actions, because we're not the only ones holding them, the same visions, the same dreams. So to be able to share that just amplifies it that much more.
Awesome. Thank you, Nicole. Anything else that wants to be shared? Reflections from the breakout? Okay, we're gonna keep jamming. So now we're gonna focus in. So the following steps, you can go through this process to each thing that you wish to create. Right now, we're gonna focus on the one thing, whatever it is that you circled. And go ahead and, just for my sake, put it in the chat. What did you circle? What's the one thing that you want to focus on? What we're going to do is now we're going to go through a few deep steps that we're going to move through rather quickly. And part of the quickness is actually just time. The other part of the quickness, and in the next flame of focus that I do, we're going to get really into time management. So each of these experiences will build upon the next one. But time management is such a challenge for so many people. And what I find is that sometimes sometimes Julie and I have to spend, you know, many hours to create Magdalene content, right? But sometimes the best ideas come through like quick, like short and sweet, because it doesn't allow us to overthink things. So we're gonna tune in to our radiant self, and we're gonna receive some like lightning guidance for ourselves. And then we can sit with it and refine it and let it integrate, you know? So we've got on here yoga, a 6-figure mentoring, bebe, yeah, creating a community space into reality, purge my property of all the junk. Oh, that's exciting. Creating the church, self-care practices, Ayurvedic health, daily devotional practices with my radiant self. Yes, daily. The community home, and allowing rest. Oh, this is such a good one. Wow. So see, very full spectrum here. Everything from allowing rest to building a 6-figure business, right? Like full spectrum. So I'm gonna share my fancy little slideshow again with you all. And here's the next question. We're only gonna have a couple minutes to jot down the answers for this. So right now, consider, what will this vision do for me? For you, Sarah, for you, having the entheogenic church, what does that do for you personally? Julie, allowing for more rest, what does that do for you? What are the benefits that you receive from the actualization of this dream? Now connecting to that radiant self, consider, what will I do for this vision? What will I give? What will I give up? What will I offer? What will I sacrifice? And the I that you can consider is the radiant self. Like, I cannot tell you how many times from doing this practice, how many times in the last month I've been like, I just want to crawl into bed and watch Bridgerton. And my radiant self has been like, oh, hell no, you don't. You want to get on your yoga mat and pick up your guitar and practice your music and move your energy so that then you can be excited to get online and share your gifts, you know? So, like, what does your radiant self do for this vision? Receive the wisdom of that version right now and just take notes, see what directions come through. And get specific. You know, for instance, what will I do for the vision of clearing out the junk from my house? I will schedule an entire day next week where I just put everything in a pile and call the pickup company to come pick up street trash. I did this once before, so I can really help you with exactly this one. What will I do for my vision? And then because we've entered into this age of Aquarius and it's no longer just about personal benefit anymore, next question, how does this vision benefit the world? And here's the thing, it all benefits the world. Julie resting benefits the world. Woody cleaning out the junk benefits the world. Because when you're liberated in your brilliance and your radiance, when your nervous system is more regulated, and you're stewarding a space for people to come and connect and heal and transform, it sends a ripple effect in all directions. And in this moment, you can really consider, how does this benefit more than myself? Doing all this personal work is really a privilege, like even to consider the conversation of manifesting, of nervous system regulation, of creating an art project means that we are insanely privileged. And so this question means that we acknowledge our privilege as wealthy creators, and that we're devoted and dedicated to utilizing that privilege that we've been given and make it matter, make it meaningful, make it of service. Starting to bring it home and anchor it in. We've gone on this hero's journey through these stages of alchemy, igniting the fire, allowing for the vision to infuse us, sharing it with each other, getting more clear with what we're willing to give and what it gives us and how it benefits a bigger picture. And now we're going to distill it down into an elixir. And that elixir is going to be our magic mantra. We're going to create a distilled declaration that fuels you to act and focuses your attention. And this is like your spell to take action, to get on your yoga mat for 30 minutes a day, you know, to whatever it is that you're wanting to activate, actualize. This is your simple, super simple. You got to be able to remember it. You can't be like, oh, where's my journal? What's my mantra? It's like, no, this is my mantra. I get on my yoga mat every day. Done. You know, like simple, repeatable, memorable, doable. Now it gets into the SMART goals, which in other calls we'll get more into like SMART goals, right? Like specific, measurable, achievable, realistic, time bound. This is like a SMART mantra of like distilling all of this information into one sentence that you can repeat. So when people ask you like, oh, Samantha, what have you been up to lately? It's like, oh, I'm getting on the yoga mat every day. You know, and people are like, Woody, what have you been up to? Like, oh, I'm cleaning out all the junk in my yard. It's like, boom, you have it in your pocket and you're speaking it into existence. Like, oh, I'm building a brand that is in service to thousands of people and helping them to embrace their sovereignty. Like, what is that distillation, vocalized sentence that helps you put word behind your thought and form your world from your word? And you can create a magic mantra that is like for the week, you know, like it can change next week once the junk is cleared out and once your yoga practice is solid and once you're resting and once your yoga brand is recreated. You're like, okay, cool, that mantra got me through. That's the elixir, right? Like this is the firewood essentially that's going to fuel your fire, that's going to bring you back to the central pillar, the tip of your arrow, the staff of your prayer, of your project, your intention, whatever it is you're cultivating right now. What's your magic mantra? Mine is, I am building my dream homestead. Each day I learn, practice, and create resources that support my family to thrive in this place. And I'm moving in by my 40th birthday or sooner. The 8-year vision, this one, you know. But now I have a mantra. And now I'm practicing it. I'm actually practicing it. When people are like, oh, what are you doing in Costa Rica? I'm like, I'm building my dream homestead. In all honesty, I'm so far from that reality, but I'm fueling that reality with affirming it, not only to myself, but to people around me. And I'm honest, like each day I'm learning, I'm studying what it's like to steward land. I'm doing practices. I'm starting my herb garden. I'm creating my business. I'm making resources that can support my family to thrive in this place. And my goal is to be there by the time I'm 40. Like, what is the story that you're telling yourself and the people around you in the world? Yeah, like, what is the story you're telling? Your life is your story. We're all storytellers through the way we live. And when you complete with your self-declaration, go ahead, type it into the chat. Thank you, Samantha. You're supporting in my manifestation process. So you think of me living in that already. I'm a peaceful mother ready to embrace my child. Oh, Julie, you're gonna be guy. I am purging my ranch of all garbage, waste, and toxic energies. Yes, Woody. So here for you on that one. Daily devotional practice with my radiant self. Yeah, spend time with her. You know, it's like any relationship. There's a courtship that gets to happen with our radiant self. So as you're distilling and refining, please put your affirmation in the chat. And we're gonna land a spaceship. So Flame of Focus is officially a thing now. This is the public version of Sacred Ember, free and open. And as I mentioned before, there'll be seasonal community offerings. And in the meantime, while we are still all gathered here, there was one last step that I wanted to get to, but I realized when I was creating this that there's just no way. But the next step, for those of you that keep your notes and join for the next one, which I'll do early in the new year, is going to be addressing our calendars and divine time, kairos synchronios, being able to honor the chronological time and the chronological time, synchronistic time, and to recognize, and I'll just give you like a little taste, that we all, you know, me and Beyonce have 168 hours in a week. Of those 168 hours, I personally like to spend like 60 of them sleeping, and like 40 of them eating, which means that I have a bucket remaining of a certain amount of hours that are mine to divvy up however I want. And when I do this practice seasonally, to look at how I'm filling my time, to make friends with time, and to get clear with where my leaks are, because a lot of us are not achieving the thing that we want to achieve because we have time leaks and we're losing time and spending it on things that don't actually get us closer to that unique spark that we're wanting to cultivate. So, you know, just planting that seed for you to be in consideration of, obviously, like, especially now, it's the end of the year, the holidays are coming, our time generally is going to be spent in kind of different ways than it's usually spent throughout the rest of the year. But now that you have this arrow of intention and focus, you can consider like, what kind of time do I want to devote to this? Is it 30 minutes a day to do my yoga practice? Do I want to put a timeline on having the house cleared or the church created or the community home developed or the book written? So we can just start to like gently consider how much time a day or a week, if I can't do it every day, if I can't put energy into my project every day, can I pick 2 days a week that I put 2 hours, 2 days a week? You can do a lot with that, but consistency is key. So that'll be for our next episode. But for now, just in these last minutes, I would love to open it up and receive any questions or comments about this process. And yeah, just continue to keep our fireplace lit and warm and open for any dialogue that wants to happen. And if you would like to share, please feel free to hop off mute and bring your voice into the circle.
Aloha, I can share. I was just about to type it. I'm going to still type it. I'm going to still put it in there. So I realized that what came forward, like initially it was more of this like tangible project-based output, materialization of visions and projects. And then I realized it was actually like the radiant self connection time and the devotional practice with myself that really is what I most desire underneath it all, and that can buoy and hold everything else that I'm already doing. So yeah, that feels so good to admit and speak and give life to. And yeah, that is sacred and holy and most important to me. Thank you, Aho.
Oh, thank you, Dewi. Yeah, it's super interesting, right? Like when we do take the time to just be in contemplation and we connect to that version, we can be surprised. I also just recently got surprised. I went through this process, like, oh, okay, great. That's what I get to focus on now. So yeah, just honoring that truth that emerged from you. Beautiful. Enjoy that. Anyone else?
I have a quick question for you.
Yeah.
So I always admire how when you set a goal, like there is a 99.9% chance that you are accomplishing it or at least doing everything you can to work towards that. Whereas I personally have in the past had experiences where like I have these big dreams and inspirations and ideas and then they sort of falter. So how often are you mapping your week, your month, your year, your goals, and like readjusting? So that is my question for you.
Yeah, that's a great question. I map a lot. And just to be clear, I used to make a lot of maps that never happened and a lot of timelines that never happened. So I've become more compassionate with myself, and I've also become way more disciplined. And I do like a good seasonal map. I do with each new moon, I do a reassessment with each week. I map onto my calendar, like, okay, these are my priorities for the week. With each day, I look at like, what is my top 3 things I need to handle today? And one of my favorite recent books that was suggested by Jade is What's the Habit book about for me?
Atomic Habits.
Atomic Habits. Yeah. I read Atomic Habits when I was in the neurosovereignty program, and that really took my discipline to another level of just creating habits around like my habit is that I follow through on my ideas, and then like part of my habits is that I have made it a habit that when I get to the end of the day, and generally like I'm doing this webinar a little bit later here in Costa Rica, but usually I've been able to make a habit that like I clock out at 5. And like I'm an entrepreneur, so I can work when I want and how I want, but I have a history of working late now with my son, like I want to finish work and be present at home. And that part of that habit is that like when I clock out at 5, I'm really proud of the work that I did. And so part of what Atomic Habits encourages is like these, like, I don't remember exactly what he referred to them as, but essentially like little victories, like creating these like almost like locks of like, oh, you create a habit out of like always cleaning up. And so then every time you like go into the living room, it's clean. And then there's also like layering those things of like, okay, like when I sit down at my desk, I take care of, this is like my workflow. And then I do at least like one thing that moves the marker on my superfood business. So then like, okay, that's developing, so then I get into the end of the day and I've had those little victories. And it's like too, there's this metaphor of an airplane that like 90% of the time they're flying off course. Yeah, habit stacking. Thank you, Woody. That like airplanes are flying like a little bit crooked all the time, but they get to their destination because they just keep course correcting. And I would say like more so than that I'm like that efficient, I think more so I'm really good at course correcting, because I've noticed like, oh, I'm getting off, gotta like bring it back here. And it's easier to course correct when you have that distilled focal point. Yeah, like when you have the mantra and you're like, you can get to the end of today and been like, what is my mantra? Did I do anything that contributes to that?
There's that book about conscious leadership, and it's not about if you're above the line or below the line. It's about knowing the distinction of knowing if you're above or below the line. And so it's more about the distinction of being able to notice yourself of where you're at.
Totally. Self-awareness, and Mom, I would love if you can put the link to your Ignite Your Life in here, which is a free mini course that my mama created that you're all welcome to enjoy, that takes you deeper into your why. Because it goes beyond my belief. It's pretty much proven fact at this point that the more deeper connected you are to your why, the more power you have to move through blocks and eliminate distractions and follow through. Like in some of my businesses, they say like the why that makes you cry, and like I felt that from you today, Sarah, of like that why that makes you cry. Like if it's, your child or the earth or helping your parents or creating your home where you can just like feel like so at ease and welcome people there. Like when you really like feel into it, it's like, oh, it just brings tears to your eyes. That's what you want to get to. And this course that my mom has with Ignite Your Life helps with the refinement and distillation of the why, and we got into it today for sure, but it's going even deeper with like, what does that vision do for you? Why is that important to you? What is like 10 layers deep of that why? Like, okay, you want to create an entheogenic church. Why? Okay, why? And you just like keep getting into it, you get into the root, and then it does something. Like when we grow our roots down in the why and the heart and the like the essence of the prayer, then it allows us to lift and rise and expand and express ourselves and stay focused and overcome the obstacles. And it's like it gives us that solid foundation. We're rooted in our prayer, and then you're unstoppable. And even when the challenges come up, like the final little story that I'll close with is when we were this whole vision of Sacred Ember and helping to bring forward my oracular production offerings in a more packaged way came from rituals that we were doing in Colombia this summer, where I got to spend over 100 hours with the fire and with elders and in deep community and prayer. And at the very beginning, and if you heard my episode Fire on Be Human, I told this story. At the beginning of this month-long prayer, there was the lighting of the fire ritual the first night we got to Colombia, and it was like a dozen of us at that point. This work that we do every summer there grows to be over like 200 people, but it was just the initial 12 of us. And we did a ritual to light the fire that stays lit over all these weeks of being together. And the way that they lit the fire was with a bow drill, like the hula hooky little like friction. It's a friction fire. And it was a man and a woman, and it was like the rest of the family was singing and dancing and praying around this fireplace, like praying for the miracle of fire that nowadays, we're like totally take for granted, but it's such a miracle. And it's created through friction, right? Like, and in the moment I had this breakthrough of like, wow, it's the friction that makes the spark of the fire. And like, it's the same fire that can cook our food and provide us light and warmth and safety. And it's the same fire that can freaking destroy a city in a second, and it's that same fire that's our spark of life and creativity. And so it's like, we hone our skillfulness through friction. Diamonds are created under pressure. And then we get that gift of an idea, of a vision, and then we got to train how to take care of those seeds, so that we don't get burnt out and then we're useless. It's a dance of like, you want to feed the fire just enough so it's not too much, but it's enough that it like maintains whatever kind of fire you want to have. Like sometimes it's a bonfire, sometimes it's marshmallow coals, but like you get to work with your creations in that way too. Yeah. So like, bless the friction and bless the timelines that don't happen and the ideas that come and go. But if you really want to stick to something, it's like you're training yourself to care for life, and like the conception stage is super fun. It's fun to make a baby. It's an entire other universe to change diapers and feed them and have them like literally running around your house in circles, screaming and hitting things with this noodle. Like that's where the creation project is like, whoa, this is another level of calling me forward now. And that's why I said at the beginning, we're like, our creations get to create us back. The more that you spend time with that radiant self, the more it's going to inform you on the subtle and obvious levels. Yeah. Beautiful, everybody. Well, thank you so much. Sonia just put the fire episode of Be Human into the chat. If you want to have a little listen to that, go way deep into the mystery and magic of fire. Thank you, Sonia. Thank you for everything, Sonia. And thank you to all of you for your support and your presence and showing up and being part of this official debut. If any of you are interested in a Sacred Ember container, or if you know someone that wants spiritual production midwifery support, there's information about that on roxanneruby.com, and I'll be releasing more about that in the days and weeks to come. But yeah, thank you. This has been a pleasure, and stay tuned for more. Aloha, everybody.